You guys know, like, I maybe give a little bit too much tea on my personal life, but Anna literally, I had to have her on this episode because you guys have to understand what it's like in the, like, plus size community in New York City, the plus size modeling community, dating in the plus size world. And one of the things, we're just going to get right into it. So one of the things that I've discovered recently is that with plus size models in New York City, the ones who are single, the ones who are dating, sometimes we have overlap. I didn't know what the overlap was at first, but I figured out what it was because I was attending an event with other plus size models, and we happened to get on the topic of who's dating who's single, who's in a relationship, all of that. And several of the other girls were talking about the overlap. The overlap is when in this small community, New York City, a small town, like not really, but plus size models would match with the same guy on a dating app like Bumble, Tinder, Hinge. They would match with the same guy and they would have an overlap. So like say Brittany, I'm making up names. Brittany, match with John, today. They go out for a couple of months and John matches with Sarah the next month, and they find out later that they dated or talked to or were romantically interested in the same guy. That can get messy, and it's like really crazy because it's such a small community, because New York City is a big city, but when you go into smaller communities, then you start having things like that, and it becomes like a small town where everybody's dated Joe over there, and so I was like freaking out because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't necessarily want to overlap with some of these people. I kind of want my man to myself, and so I'm just like, okay, who has overlapped with me? What's going on? Like, I'm freaking out because some of these girls are so comfortable with the overlap. I personally am not. Maybe it's a Scorpio in me. I don't know. But I just wasn't really that comfortable. And I was like, oh, my tastes are so different. Maybe the type of guys that I go for, that I match with, maybe it's not the same type that they would go for a match for. Until I started talking to Anna over here. So, Anna, do you want to tell me, before I get into that, before I get into the overlap, like, do you want to talk about what's it like being a plus size woman dating in New York City? Sorry, a plus size model. We're talking about models here.
Yeah.
Being a plus size model, dating in New York City, what has been your experience? What has it been like for you?
For sure. I mean, so I'm a native New Yorker, so I've lived in New York all my life, and I know better than anyone that while New York is a very large city with millions of people, it is actually a very small city. You are constantly running into people and within the plus size community, it's gotten even smaller, and there is a very insular community with that comes with that. It's kind of like, I have like one of my really good friends is a lesbian, and I feel like it's kind of similar to that, where it's like everyone like has dated each other. Like it has unfortunately become like that. And to your point, like I also am not a fan of the overlap to a certain degree. Like it depends on like how far did you get with someone, right? Like but dating is really tough in New York City, especially as a plus size woman, and then on top of that as a plus size model. I typically don't reveal that I'm a plus size model.
Really?
I don't even put my Instagram on my dating app at all. I mean, well, I have a boyfriend now. We can get to that later. But when I was single, I did not put my Instagram on my dating profile at all. And I would make a point not to really mention it until either the first or even second date. And the reason why is because I learned the hard way. Like, I think the minute I would start talking about it, they'd be like, oh, I've never been with a model. I've never dated a model. And that would just be the only thing that they could focus on. There's so many more facets to me as a person. And I'm sure, women in general have a lot more to who they are than maybe just their career. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, guys can just focus on that one thing. And then it can, unfortunately, just change how they view you. And I didn't want that to kind of distract them from who I am as a whole person. And I felt like the minute I would say that I'm a plus size model, they wanted to see my Instagram. Then they saw the sexy photos. Then it's like, okay, all they want to do is have sex with me. And that's it. So it got really to the point where I was like, I'm just not even going to put my Instagram on here. Like, if they are so lucky to get to the point where they get to be on a date with me, then I could talk about it then.
Yes, I feel you. I've had similar situations where I was so nervous about putting anything about me being a model on these dating apps because the same reaction. Like, I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, we're so blessed to live in New York City, to be a plus size model, to be signed models, to be working. It's great. It's awesome. And I get that it's interesting to other people who are not in this world, who don't model, who don't do this. I get that it's interesting. But if I'm dating, I'm looking for a partner, I just want to talk about something else. Can we talk about something else? So, like, I, too, try to avoid putting too many details about that in the beginning because I don't want that to be the center of, you know, our chats. You know what I mean? Like, we could talk about that later. Like, who are you as a person? Like, what do you like to do? What's your favorite food? Like, let's talk about anything else, you know?
For sure.
So, Anna here, I've realized after talking to several other plus size models and, again, wondering about who I've overlapped with, when I would talk to Brittany and Jessica, and I'm making up names of these other models, and they would, you know, show me the guys that they're talking to, and you know, we would get into what has gone on with them. And, like, I guess, too, like, I was, like, so nervous because, you know, these girls were, like, giving details on the guys that you would only know if you dated him kind of deal. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, who, like, I was like, I'm just so different. I'm unique. I'm like the black sheep, like the oddball. Like, nobody's gonna like the type of guys I like. Then I talked to Anna, and I realized we have overlapped on several men. And I'm just like, and then I was looking at Anna like, she obviously has good taste. Okay.
Thank you. I'd like to think so.
Good taste. And then I started, okay. So it's like, it's one thing if it's just one guy. No, every time I talk to Anna, she has talked to a guy that I've talked to. I'm just like, what?
It's like now it had gotten to the point where it was like a background check. Like, I'd be like, yo, Gabby, have you talked to this guy? And then she'd be like, no, I haven't. You're good. I'm like, okay, good. And then, like, she would, like, reach out to me and be like, hey, did you go out with this guy? Be like, yeah, I did actually. Like, whatever. You know, he was really nice.
Literally.
I didn't really feel it. Like, go for it. Or I'd be like, actually, I'm really into him. Like, I'm still talking to him. Like, so, you know, we would definitely check in with each other. And so men, do not think that we do not talk. We talk about everything to all of our friends, and everyone knows. So do not, if you see like a girl that you're talking to is following another girl that you're talking to,
literally,
best believe they know it's happening, that you are talking to both of them.
Literally. So. and that's what happened. Yeah. I would match with the guy. Okay, the first guy was this really cute, like, black Haitian designer. And he always wore a suit, and he just looked so good. Anyways, we were talking for a while, and, like, I was getting interested. So then we started sharing social media. I got his Instagram. He got my Instagram. Who's following him, and who is he following? Anna. And I'm just like, what in the world is going on? I was like, how does Anna know this man? Like, what is going on? So I'm like, of course, I see this. I'm like, okay, why is Anna following my man? He was my man, but I'm just saying, like, what is going on here? I message her, and she tells me, oh, yeah, like, we matched on Bumble a while ago, and, like, it didn't really go that far. Well, I'll let you tell it. But, like, I was, like, you know, really into him and whatever. I'm just like, I wonder what the tea is. And so I basically part of, like, the pros of overlapping with Anna is that I got the background on these guys that I wouldn't have gotten had I not talked to her. Because she, like, let me know, like, you know, like, when you're talking to a new guy, like, on a dating app, and, like, you're having to figure out yourself who he is. You're having to investigate. You're having to, like, take that time. I got to skip a few steps because Anna had already talked to this man, and she, like, knew the scoops. So, Anna, do you remember the black designer that we were both? Okay, so tell me about this guy.
No, but that one was, like, honestly, he was like a blip to me. I think I talked to him for maybe like 3 days tops, because he was such a bad texter that I just lost interest so quickly that I was like, I don't even, like, he's all yours. Like, go for it.
I know. When she told me that, I was like,
he could not hold my interest at all. And like, I tried to have a conversation with him, and I just couldn't. It just wasn't clicking for me. So, I mean, yes, we have similar types, but then ultimately, you know, some things just work and some things don't. And then I was like, listen, like, go for it. Like, maybe you guys will click. So I don't know did you guys end up hanging out?
So, oh my gosh. Okay, Anna, that's why, like, when you said that, when you were just like, oh, whatever, you can have him, I was like, that makes sense, because I was getting red flags from this guy. And so when you're just like, I don't want him anyways, I'm like, oh, that confirms it. Like, you don't want the garbage. I don't want the garbage.
No, it's not even garbage, though. It's just like, 'cause
if it's meant to be, then it'll be.